Hi, here is why trade always reverses before it gets to your order block, or before it gets to your area of support and resistance, or your area of supply and demand zone. In this video, I'll be sharing with you, which is one of our point of interest, on why trade did not get to your order block before it reverses, or your zones. It can be support, can be resistance that you have identified as your point of interest. We are still on our challenge and we are still on our checklist for our trade. So far in our previous videos we have talked about the trend of the market, and after we have determined the trend, we are now considering our point number 2, which is our point of interest, our POI. So this point of interest, previously we've discussed about order block, smart money cube and breakers block. So under the same point of interest, we are now looking at fair value gap. Okay, you can call it fair value gap or imbalance. So that is what we are looking at in this video. Most often when we trade, we identified our area of support and resistance zone, our order block, but later on we realized that price did not get to that zone and it reverses. And then we keep wondering what exactly happened that prompt price not to get to that zone before the reversal happened. I want to show you for an instance. In this scenario, look at what happened here. If you are to mark this price movement, here is your order block. This is your order block. You can, to price action trader, this is their resistance zone. But obviously look at what happened. Price came down, right? And then here price pulled back, did not get to this zone, and then it only pulled back to this particular zone. It only pulled back to this point and drop. The question is, what is the mystery in this zone that causes price to drop? That is exactly what I want to share with you in this video. Look at in this movement as well. Price pull back because there is something here that makes this price to pull back to mitigate these zones and drop. And that is exactly what we'll be discussing in this video. What is responsible for such behavior? Again, let me mark out this for you to see. Look at what happened here. This is an order block. So that is the last bullish candle, right? This candle you are seeing, that is the last bullish candle before this move to the downside. But look at this price. This price pulled all the way to this zone. If you were to be waiting for that order block, this price did not get to this order block and then it drops. What happened? What exactly led to this? Now, that is why, so that we don't get to miss such move. After waiting for the whole of this price movement to this zone, you now wait for the whole of this pullback and eventually price did not mitigate your order block and it drop. That will be so painful. And that is why one of our point of interest that we are looking at is the fair value gap. Now let me explain what a fair value gap is. This is a downtrend situation. In a downtrend such as this movement, you will only find a fair value gap on a bearish candle. In a downtrend, fair value gap is only found on a bearish candle. So, and when you get a bullish pullback, it is only a retracement, because in the downtrend you are only looking for opportunity to sell. So let's identify a fair value gap. If you look at how price behave, let's come to this point and zoom carefully and see exactly what happens here. Now look at this particular movement here and look at how price behave. We have this particular candle that was formed here. Good. Okay, we have this candle that was formed, this bullish candle, then we have this bullish candle, then we have this bearish candle. Now if you look at what happened to this bullish candle, you realize that the wick point, the wick of this, which is the point of ejection of this bullish candle, if we are considering this particular bearish candle, let me get a horizontal line and place it on the candle I want us to consider. So we are considering this particular bullish candle. This bullish candle with this bearish candle, I beg your pardon, with the horizontal line is the candle I want us to consider. So if you are considering this particular type of candle, you will study the candle before it and the candle after it. Okay? If you are to study this candle, study the candle before it and the candle after it. So let me take away this line so that we can study what happened here. Alright, so now that I've taken that away, I believe we can see what happened here now. You see that this candle has a wick, right? And then if you look, you can see the wick of this bullish candle. Now this is the candle we are studying, so we'll now jump it to the next one, because we'll study the one before the one under consideration and the one after. So look at this one now. You now realize that where the wick of this bullish candle stop, it interlock with the candle after, which is this bearish candle. So you will consider the low of the previous candle before the candle you are considering in a downtrend, and the high of the previous candle after. So what does that mean? What it simply means is that I'm going to consider the low of this bullish candle, the low of this bullish candle, and the high of this bearish candle. So let me mark the low of that bullish candle. So I will pick a trend line. I will mark the low of that bullish candle for you to see. You can see that is the low of that bullish candle. If you observe critically, you realize that the low of this previous bullish candle is the same thing as the high of the candle after, because this is the candle we are considering. This particular bearish candle is the candle we are studying. So now we see that there is no gap between the low. There is no gap between the low of that previous candle and the low of this one. So now let's move to this particular candle now. We want to consider this particular bearish candle. This video will be long because it is essential. So we want to consider the low. This is the candle under consideration. So we are going to consider the candle before it and the candle after. So this candle and this bearish candle is the candle we are going to consider. So in a downtrend, you will consider the low of the candle before it. So this small bullish candle, that is the low of the candle before it. Okay, I've marked the low of that candle. So you now see that there is a low of this candle is what I have marked. I'm now going to mark the high of this candle. Okay, so let me mark the high of that candle. This is a downtrend scenario, and then we are doing our markup. Now you realize that this is the high of this particular candle. Now look at what happened. In between this and this, you can see that there is a gap. This candle did not overlap and this one did not overlap. That is what we refer to as what? A fair value gap. In an ideal market scenario, this candle is supposed to have a wick and this one is supposed to have a wick, so that by the time we connect our trend line, they should be able to cover the body of this candle under consideration. So because that did not happen, we have a lapses here. So this thing you are seeing, this gap here, is what we call as fair value gap. You can as well call it as imbalance, okay, or improper price action. That is how price is designed to function, not the other way around. All right, so that is how to identify it. So what do? We will now mark it as our point of interest. So I'll come back now. I'll mark this as my point of interest. So do you see this? So this scenario is for a downtrend. trend. There's going to be a part 2 because I don't want this video to be long, so I'm going to make a part 2 of it to show you how you can do this in an uptrend scenario. So you can see, look at what happened here now. You will now see that price pull back to fill in that imbalance 100%. Do you see that filling? Immediately price fill into that imbalance 100%, gave us a signal, and then you see that sell to the downside. So that is a very much important zone. So if you are trading support and resistance, maybe this is your support zone, you are expecting price to reach, you wait for days, price pull back, fill this imbalance, and reverses to the downside. And that is why it is important for you to do or to understand this concept. This smart money concept is very essential, and it works across all pairs. It is not only limited to this particular pairs, it works across all pairs. This is a downtrend scenario. So let me see if we can try this on other pair. Let's see if we can try this on gold. Try it on gold. Alright, so you need to look and observe if there is a fair value gap, and then you take note of it. Okay, now look at what happened here. We have a lot of it here. Look at it. You see this? Now if you look at this candle here, this is where the wick. So this is a downtrend. You look at the candle, the low of the candle before the candle under consideration, and then the high of the candle after. Look at this. This is the high of the candle after. You see that? The low of the candle before, and then the high of the candle after the candle under consideration. So all of these zones, this is fair value gap, this is fair value gap, this is fair value gap. So we are expecting price. This is a law. As far as fair value gap is concerned, price must return to refill it. The only thing is that we don't know when that will happen, but it is mandatory that price will come back to refill it. The refilling does not mean that price will pull back and continue selling. Price can choose to pull back and then fill it and continue all the way to the upside. So it all depends on the price scenario and what the price action decides to do. Alright, so that is exactly how you can take advantage of this, and you will be amazed at what your result will be. This is amazing, and you can backtest this. This is for a bearish trend, which is a sell market. So in the subsequent video, I'll be doing it on how you can identify fair value gap in a bullish uptrend as part of our point of interest. Thank you for watching, and see you in the subsequent video. If you are yet to subscribe, please do well to subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to get notified, and please like and share.